Relationship advice. Updated, how to best handle the kids. Just found out they weren't mine. I've been a lurker on this sub for a little while now, using this account because my soon-to-be ex-wife would find it on my main account. Not entirely concerned with format, but will try to keep it coherent. I'll clarify anything if needed. I was married to this woman for about 12 years, dated her during my high school and college years and haven't been with anyone else. I was under the impression that was the same case for her. We got married when the both of us were 24 and the twins just turned 8. I only found out they weren't mine last week because of those ancestry DNA kits. What started out as an attempt to cure boredom during lockdowns, turned into this mess. The soon-to-be ex-wife fought me tooth and nail when I mentioned my interest in doing the test, said it was just a waste of money. Her constant refusals only made me want to do it more, so I did it in secret. Now I know why she was so adamant. I found out who their biological father was, and tracked him down to a house about 20 blocks from where I lived. We're extremely similar in appearance and personality. I can't even look in mirrors now because of that. I've moved in with a friend upon discovery and kept little contact with the soon-to-be ex-wife. Plan on serving her with divorce papers once I'm mentally prepared to face her. My only concern now is how to approach the twins. They're the true victims in all this, and yet my heart aches looking at them. I don't think I can keep being a father to them knowing what I know now. They've been extremely worried about me, but I can't even listen to their voices without bursting into tears. To those betrayed with kids, how do you process the idea that your children were never yours? Edit, the biological father wants to be part of the twins' lives. He was unaware of their existence until I tracked him down, and was surprised to know that my soon-to-be ex-wife was married at the time of her affair. I have no reason to disbelieve him. Edit 2, a good number of you asked about how my soon-to-be ex-wife reacted to this. I'll work on a separate post on that tomorrow. Just building up the courage to type out this post basically took all night. It's almost 7 in the morning where I am. Now for the top advice before the update. Intentional parental fraud should be a punishable crime. It absolutely amazes me that there are no legal repercussions for the evil women that do this crap. In a just world, she would owe you a considerable amount of money as a form of restitution. I suggest that you take time away from everyone to gather yourself. You're absolutely correct in saying those kids are victims as well. They don't deserve to be punished for having a lying cheat of a mother. Hopefully after some time you will be able to be in their lives again. They're going to need you to help them navigate this awful situation your soon-to-be ex-wife put all of you in. I'm a woman. And these scenarios could now be avoided with mandatory paternity tests at birth for establishing who the father is. If it's done across the board, it's not an insult to ask for it to be done. The vast majority of women who aren't trying to defraud their partner have nothing to worry about. Hey bud, sorry for the mess she caused. My oldest daughter. There is a possibility that she is not my bio. I had found a note in one of my ex's purse. It said, "I waited 10 years for you, I can wait another 10. It took a long time to figure it out. I was with my ex when we were young, at the time she was turning 16. So, who would say waited 10 and 10 more? I figured out it was her child doctor. I put it to her and she never admitted, but did not deny. I'm afraid to find out. It would change my daughter and I to a whole bad definition. Just can't do it. After 20 years, I still have so much hate towards her. I have a small part of me that wishes I never found out. Honestly, it's like the whole world conspired to make sure I found out. Lockdowns, the small chances that all of the parties involved have done those ancestry kits, that random desire to do it. By all means, I should have never found out. But I did, and that wild family has to pay for that woman's actions. Did she own up to this? I would have a proper DNA test. I wouldn't just go based on that. As I've been told, they shouldn't be done for that purpose. I would not cut them out. You're all they have known as dad. A dad isn't made by bio, but by the way he is as a father. You don't have to stop being their dad. You love them as your own and they love you as dad. She assumed I had given up and was blindsided by my discovery. I will get a proper DNA test done. I wasn't aware that DNA kit wasn't enough. And now for the update. I had to make a separate post due to how many people made sure to give me support and advice. I thank each and every one of you, and though I didn't respond to all of them, I read everyone and I'm grateful for them. I looked into both attorneys and therapists that could help me with my situation. I was able to find a possible attorney in the last couple of hours and will have an interview tomorrow. I'll keep looking for a good therapist. Someone seemed to think I was scared of my soon-to-be ex-wife, and was confused how I was able to confront the other man. No, I'm not scared. I refuse to be possibly vulnerable around her when I have such little control over my emotions. I'm also worried that my mental health will also affect my twins. They would sense something was wrong and blame themselves if I couldn't act as I normally would around them. That's one of the major reasons I moved out. Until I had my counseling, I will continue to stay away from my home. I had told the twins that I was going on a work trip when they caught me packing, so hopefully that helps. I am working on trying to properly summarize my situation with the soon-to-be ex-wife. There's no chance of reconciliation there. A good number of you advise that I get tested for STDs and I will do so. P.S. The twins are both girls. I should have clarified that. I prefer calling them my twins over my daughters. Now for the next story. My girlfriend cheated and the kid I thought was mine is not. People keep telling me I have to stay in the kid's life and be his dad, but I can't even stand to look at him now. Long story short, my, now ex-girlfriend was passing off another man's kid as mine. I believed it for nearly 2 years, until certain details came out from people in our social circle, that led me to suspect she had been unfaithful around the time the kid would have been conceived. I confronted her and after initially denying it, she eventually broke down and admitted that the kid wasn't mine. I want to put this all behind me to whatever extent possible. I've moved out of our apartment already, lease expires in 4 months and I'll pay my share till then, but that's it. I've mostly cut off contact with my ex, and her friends and family. But I also adamantly do not want to be involved in the kid's life anymore, and even some of my friends/family who consoled me when I found out, think I have a responsibility to go on being his father. It's not like I blame the kid for how he was conceived, but ever since I found out the truth, it feels like every happy memory I've had for the last 2 years is poisoned. I can't look at him without feeling like a stupid, gullible schmuck, and I feel sick and angry when I think of the thousands of dollars I've spent on him so far, money I could have saved for a car and a mortgage, which I gladly spent on what I thought was going to be my wife and our child. I'm willing to spend every last penny I have on attorney's fees, to see what my options are to disentangle myself from this relationship, or at least to limit the bleeding. When I told my ex about this, she begged not to go through with it, but as awful as it sounds, I just don't feel any love for this kid anymore, like a light clicked off in my head. I told her to get the biological father to be his dad, but she says that guy is unreliable and not capable of emotionally or financially supporting a child. Which made me question why that's my problem. She chose to bear this guy's kid. Nobody supports me in this, not even my parents, which I understand. They're distraught because the kid they thought was their first grandchild, is in fact not. But they're not the ones who are going to be paying for him. What happens when I meet a decent woman and want to start a real family of my own with her? Am I going to have to keep supporting another man's kid at the same time, give him the money and care that I should be spending on my real children? I don't yet know if it's legally feasible for me to disentangle myself completely from this kid and his mother, but am I really so crazy for wanting to do so? Now for the top advice. Everyone who is telling you care for the kid and not abandon him. Tell them that they can support the kid instead of you, if they feel so freaking bad. They are just as related to the kid as you are. It's harsh, but true. You aren't his dad, you aren't in the obligation to be in his life. He has no obligation, but OP needs to find out if the state/country he lives in views it differently. Some places will make a non-biological father pay. The state's family court can order a non-biological parent to pay child support in certain situations. The person will need to be viewed as a legal or equitable parent. Which it sounds like he may have been, under the law's definition viewed as such. Especially if he is on the birth certificate. OP should probably head over to r/legal advice, and consider getting a lawyer if they live in one of those places. You are not crazy at all. He's still young, and while toddlers have some personality, he hasn't really come into the age where he has his own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, etc. So, it makes sense that you really don't love him anymore. I raised a kid for about a year, no chance was mine. He was about 4 months old when I met his mom. After we broke up, some friends encouraged me to stay in his life. But why? Eventually his mom was going to move on. Why should I be playing pretend dad? You're in the same situation. Getting out of paying child support is going to be a battle. I'm not sure how hard. I think that's going to depend on a lot. Absolutely find a lawyer for a consultation at the least. He's almost certainly on the hook for child support unless the biofather is willing to take over paying. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be in my son's life anymore? My ex-wife and I got divorced 2 years ago and have a son, 5, together. Our child has a dark complexion and brown eyes, even though my wife and I are both very pale and have blue eyes. It was a bit surprising for me, but I never really gave the idea that this child was not my own any serious consideration. Flash forward to 3 years after our child is born, and my wife and I get divorced. Our divorce was unpleasant, but all things considered, not nearly as bad as it could have been. There was no infidelity or any irredeemable mistake by either party, just two people who no longer wanted to be together. We share custody, but my son lives primarily with my ex-wife and her boyfriend. As the boy has gotten older, his features have almost entirely diverged from mine, and he now looks absolutely nothing like me. Again, I thought nothing of it, as I trusted my ex-wife. But a couple of weekends ago when I was visiting him, I made a joke to my ex-wife that people will think I kidnapped him because of how different we look. She then bursts into tears and admits that the child is most likely not my own. I am absolutely stunned, and didn't interrupt her once as she spilled an entire saga of her cheating on me with her current boyfriend, around the time we were trying to get pregnant. I thought I was going to throw up when I heard this and immediately left her home. I don't know if I can ever go back or ever see my son again. I feel emasculated, and deeply betrayed by my ex-wife. My wife insists that I remain a part of this family, despite all of the deceit. She has called me a deadbeat for leaving, after she told me the truth and not sticking around to raise my son. She claims that even after all she's done to me, I am the a-hole. I know none of this is my son's fault, and I still care a great deal about his well-being, but I just don't think I can be a father to a child that is not my own, especially when the child's actual father is fully in his life. I feel like an unnecessary appendage in this relationship, and I refuse to be humiliated any further. Am I the a-hole for refusing to raise a son that is not my own? Clarifying point, I plan on doing an official DNA test before I make any lasting decisions. But I don't feel ready to have the conversation with my ex-wife yet. She seems convinced her boyfriend is the father, not me. For now, I am keeping my distance. As much as I might despise them, the child is perfectly safe with my ex-wife and her boyfriend. They both love him deeply, and this would be a very different conversation if that were not the case. Edit: a lot of people are talking about child support being a real issue here. I am not particularly worried about this at the moment. That discussion will come, but both my wife and I have well-paying jobs, and the child's future will be secure financially regardless of the outcome. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. After you take the DNA test, think things through. If it's positive, it may just be that there are recessive genes that lead to kids looking different than their parents, think eye color and stuff like that. If it's not your child, think about what you want. You have no obligation whatsoever to this kid, and you are by no means the a-hole. It is your ex's fault, because no matter what, she always knew there was a possibility the kid wasn't yours and she lied to you for years. I'm sorry you're in this position, and whatever you decide moving forward, keep in mind that the kid's not to blame and that you're 100% in your right if you choose to say goodbye to him. I wouldn't drop out from one day to the next without a single word because that may be traumatic for him. Maybe hang out with him once and try to explain the situation if possible, and leave them for good. Edit: the eye color in the recessive comment was meant as a general example. A lot of people have gotten into whether eyes can be recessive or not. I didn't mean it as a specific thing, but more along the lines of, your kids may not necessarily display 100% the same features you or your spouse does. Sorry for not clarifying this earlier. Adding to top comment, depending where you live, if the kid is not yours and you decide against being a part of his life, you will have to go to court. If you've signed the birth certificate, you are still on the hook for child support, unless a judge rules otherwise. Good luck, OP. You're not the a-hole. But I feel really bad for the child. You are understandably upset. No one can blame you. If his father wasn't already in the picture, I would say you shouldn't abandon the child because the only father he knew would have abandoned him. I had a friend in this scenario, but the bio dad wasn't around. Since his bio dad is around, I feel like the actual parents are using you as a babysitter and financial support. That's all kinds of messed up. The child really loses here. I don't know if with time you'd feel okay with it, but maybe you could take on an uncle role, where you come around for special occasions. If he suffers psychologically, mom and bio dad are going to have to come clean and do counseling. It would be the only way I can see to heal the child. Letting him know that he does have a full family. I'm really sorry for you and the child. I just don't get this. He is the only dad this kid has ever known. Even if he is now living with his biological father, OP is his dad. The person who's been there for him his whole life. Who he loves and is bonded to. I have a 5-year-old. He would be traumatized if his dad just disappeared, even if I started living with a new guy. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you're approaching this logically. DNA test before making a decision. I'm so sorry that happened, man. Screw her. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.